Welcome to Kinesiology 2700, Stress Management for Healthy Living. This is Module 5, the Feeling States of Awareness. So let's just talk just super briefly about where we've been, right? We've been talking about what stress is, that it's just anything, a thought, a feeling, a word, anything that knocks you off emotional balance. And by looking at it, we can look what that state of emotional balance looks like, so we can kind of try to figure out, okay, so then what gets us back into emotional balance. And we went pretty deep into the fear response system, and then last week we got really deep into kind of the physiological response of the fear response system, because remember, we have these two systems that are always vying for control of our whole body, our whole mind-body complex, and we get better at the system that we rest in more. So the idea is, how do we really reduce your fear response, and then how do we actively cultivate your calm and connection system? So that we're beginning to shift now. We've gotten really deep into kind of understanding the whole foundations, understanding the physiology of how your whole mind-body complex works together, and then how it just kind of explodes in your whole mind and body in response to create the capacity for more than the same. So now we're going to kind of a little bit begin to start shift and start being able to feel the difference between those two systems. So what you're going to do this week is called the Feeling States of Awareness. And you're going to go, after you watch this video, you're going to watch another video, and I want you to be prepared for that video. The video itself is only about 15 minutes, but it's going to lead you through a process that's going to take about an hour. So it's really important. This should be done all at one sitting. It's going to lead you through guided exercises. So it's really important to have whatever you're going to write with, whether it's a paper and pencil or whether it's a keyboard or whatever it is, to have it ready. And you need to have it uninterrupted about an hour of time, because it's going to really kind of lead you through a whole process with guided writing. So you need to watch and be prepared to participate in that video. Then after you do, what that's going to do is lead you through your reflection for this week. And so then you will write that up as instructed in the video and submit it under the link for this week's reflection. After that, then I want you to read. And again, usually I know you read before you do the reflection. This week I want you to read after you do the reflection, because it just kind of gives you the idea of what happened when you did the reflection, and it'll kind of give you a recap, so you can just kind of skim through that part, because it's really going to talk about the reflection that you just did. And then we're going to kind of start shifting. Next week we're going to go really into what happens when you really begin to shift with a different emotional state. But this week what we're doing is we're just trying to kind of set you up for that. So then after you submit that reflection, then what you're going to do is you're going to watch another video. And that other video, basically it's a shorter video than what you've been watching. And it's just going to kind of ground you just a little bit in where we are, and then remind you of our process, that we're really kind of the process that we're going to go through. After understanding all this foundation is kind of a 4-step process of recognizing when you're stressed out, releasing the stressed outness in your mind and your body. And we started doing that last week with the somatic clearing practice, and then replacing with a kind of a different operating system. And then once you replace often enough, then you kind of restore a whole new way of being. So I'm going to remind you of those 4 steps, and then I'm going to give you a little bit introduction, or a deeper introduction, into the different types of practices. So we've been talking about in the moment practices, we've been talking about sustained practices, but I'm just going to give you a little bit more in-depth introduction into what those are and what I mean by those. And then I'm going to introduce you into a practice called the power of pause. And then so what you're going to do then is you're going to practice the power of pause. And again, that's just pausing in the moment. And you'll see in the video, that's just pausing in the moment. So I want you to try that at least 3 times a day, and just record it on your log. And then you're also going to practice again the same practice that you did last week, the sustained practice of somatic clearing, because that's really about kind of releasing all the emotional buildup in our mind and our body. And then what I want you to do is write a paragraph summary. So you're going to record that in your heart. Like anytime you do a practice, you just record it in the log. And again, that's just the date and the practice that you did and maybe a sentence or two. But then what I want you to do is then I want you to write a paragraph summary of your experience with somatic clearing, which may be different than it was last week. A lot of times it's different because you can get into it one week and you can't, or you got into it deeper this week and all of a sudden it was a different experience, whatever it is. So you're just going to write up a paragraph summary of that and a paragraph summary of your experiences with the power of pause, and then turn that in. Oh, and then also you have the content quiz. So what you need to do again is you're going to watch the feeling states of awareness video. You're going to write the reflection that goes along with that. You're going to read in your book. You're going to watch the Module 5 content video, which again is shorter. It mainly is talking about the 4-step process that we're going to do, and then introducing the practices. And then you're going to do the quiz. You're going to do the practices and then submit the summary. And again, I want you to just go step by step. Every week under the module, there are steps that you need to follow. And I'm very careful in writing up those steps. So I want you to do the steps in order and pay careful attention to what the steps say. Because a lot of times I'm getting email questions that are exactly explained in those steps. So don't skip a video and think, oh, I know that stuff already, or I'll be able to get it from the book, because you don't. It's not always, they don't always cover exactly the same material. So it's really important to go exactly step by the activities in each module. And then you're done. So have a really good week. And don't forget, we do have those optional check-in Zoom meetings at 1 o'clock on Fridays, and it was really helpful to kind of meet and connect with all the students that did show up. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you. Again, it is optional, but I highly encourage you. We do it for a couple reasons. We do it to just connect and hang out, which is a really healthy thing to do, especially during this time, and then also to answer any questions. So if you don't just blow it off because you think you don't have any questions, because there's still that time of just kind of getting to know each other and connecting and hanging out a little bit. That's very important too. So have a great week.